Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build for the Scion of the Dead 3 Rogue in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that's made by Ahdarugo here, and it's based on the Dead 3, with Bane, Baal, and Merkel being deities that you can select. I also want to recommend mods by Ashlyn Mods here with the Merkel deity with restored cut dialogue. There's also one for Baal or Bane as well. What's amazing about these mods is they add in a bunch of dialogue that was cut, and it actually goes throughout the entire game with some dialogue being right up to Gortash. It's actually really cool. And similar to the Spellfire Sorcery mod that I covered previously, also by Ahdarugo, this is based on the Forgotten Realms Hero of Faerun campaign, which is based on Baldur's Gate 3. It's place 9 years after the game took place. And here are some of the different abilities that you do get, which I'll take you through in this video. You get special bloodthirst attacks. And what's cool about this one is it actually uses intelligence. So for that, I would actually recommend going with 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, and 16 intelligence. You can swap dex and constitution, but I do prefer to have the higher initiative and attack rolls in armor class. Now for skill proficiencies, this really depends if you're the face of the party or not. I like to have sleight of hand and stealth if you're not the face of the party. Otherwise, persuasion and deception work great. And I'll show you the level 12 and level 20 builds for this. Bonus action abilities here at level 2 are great. This just makes the rogue so versatile when it comes to combat because you can kite enemies really well. Now with this, we got our Scion of the 3. I was calling it the Scion of the Dead 3, but you get your powers from them. Bane, a god of tyranny. Baal, the god of violence and murder. And Merkel, the god of death, manifesting occult gifts and a terrifying talent for striking down foes. So you get to choose if you want the dialogue. You also don't have to take it, but again, personal preference there. With this subclass feature, we get our Bloodthirst. So when an enemy you can see within 9 meters of yourself takes damage and is reduced to 50% of its health points or less, I should say hit points, after taking that damage but not killed outright, it gives you a reaction that lets you teleport to that enemy and then make a free weapon attack. So pretty cool stuff. It makes us very combat use ready, which the rogue normally isn't, and you can kind of strategize with your team when it's best to use this to jump in and attack. Mind you, it does use your reaction. It's something to keep in mind. The Dread Allegiance then lets you choose between one of the Dead 3, Bane, Baal, or Merkel, with Bane giving us the minor illusion cantrip and resistance to psychic damage, being great against the mind flayers. The Baal giving you resistance to poison damage, the most common damage behind fire in the game, and it gives you Blade Ward. And then there's also resistance to necrotic damage and Chill Touch cantrip, which is nice because that just gives you the free Bone Chill here. So yeah, Chill Touch, Bone Chill. It's kind of funny, it was actually called Chill Touch in D&D, and Baldur's Gate 3, they made the change to make it Bone Chill because it is an 18-meter range spell. It's a lot of people think this is a melee-only spell, but that's Inflict Wounds. Level 4 gives us our first feat. I always like to go with Alert feat. This is just extremely powerful, but I will mention if you want higher offensive, the Savage Attacker lets us reroll our sneak attacks. Either of these work well. You could also go with a dexterity increase. It's your personal preference. I just like Alert early on in the game. Being able to go first in combat, especially when we're a high damage dealer, is great because we can free up our teammates in the load order. Now, next we got Uncanny Dodge here at level 5. This lets us take half damage, but then we use our reactions, so we can't do our special Bloodthirst attack. We get skill proficiencies here. Deception and Intimidation are great, although Acrobatics is also nice so that you don't get shoved, which is arguably a better benefit, because in combat, if you get shoved, that's just 0 health most times, so we want to avoid that. Evasion basically lets us take half less damage from any dexterity save, so if we save, no damage. Great stuff, and then if we don't save, we take 50% less damage. Level 8 gives us the second feed. Now, I would recommend at this point to take the Savage Attacker just because we're going to be doing a lot of melee attacks, and being able to reroll those is highly important. Also, an ability score improvement on dex can work great. Level 9 gives us the Strike Fear, so when our sneak attack hits, you can use your reaction to apply the frightened condition to the target for 10 turns. A frightened target must do a wisdom saving throw at the end of its turns, ending the effect on a successful save. And this gives them disadvantage on their attack rolls and they can't move. But I want to mention, this also uses your reaction. So this is something that you have to, again, strategize and think about what's going to be best for you at the current moment. I still think the Bloodthirst extra attack is worth keeping that reaction for, but that's just me. It depends what combat calls for. Level 10 gives us that special extra feat the rogues get at level 10, and at this point, I think a dexterity increase works great. Although Lucky does work well on a rogue-style build, I personally like to go with that too, but it keeps us from using our reactions. Level 11, Reliable Talent. The lowest we can roll on anything we're not proficient in is a 10. It's cool. Level 12 gives us our final feat if we're not going to level 20, but I'll show you guys the level 20 version of this. I think that a dexterity increase just works great here. And level 13, the Aura Malevolence. So when empowered by one of Bane, Baal, or Merkel, I want to repeat that, Malevolence, you can use this passive feature that'll give you an aura around your character that's going to deal a 1d6 of damage and your intelligence modifier on top of that. So this will match your damage resistance that you choose from the Dread Allegiance, so you can get the Psychic, Poison, or Necrotic, with Psychic obviously being very powerful when comboed with something like the Resonance Stone. And also Shadow Blade, which we can actually throw on this. Blind Sense gives you the ability to see invisible creatures, obviously quite powerful. Level 15 gives us the Slippery Mind, proficiency in Wisdom saving throws, so we get hit with those a lot less. We'll get another feat here at level 16. I honestly like moderately armored. Medium armor can work really well. Also mentioned Lucky here, and also an ability score improvement on our intelligence could be worth taking, or even Constitution's nice too. But in my opinion, I think that the best thing to go with at this point, if we're going to level 20, is the Tough feat. Extra 2 health per level. Hit points is a resource that we can use to stay alive and deal damage, so we want it. It's level 17 subclass feature. You can recover our Bloodthirst charges on short rests now, which is amazing. And the Dread Incarnate Murderous Intent. When you roll for your sneak attack damage, you can treat a roll of 1 or 2 as a 3. Pretty good stuff. It's not re-rolling the damage die, but it's marking it as a 3. So that increases your DPS quite a bit as well. And considering that our sneak attack dies are 1d6, that's like, yeah, really nice. We get Elusive here, which does not work. That's the level curve unlocked mod that gives us that, not the subclass mod. Level 19 gives us our final feat. And I actually think that Dual Wielder ends up being the best choice. This just opens up us to use different weapons. Like you can dual wield and use things like Falar Aluv and the Laurentian's Wrath, which are both finesse longswords. So you can do some cool stuff. Level 20 gives us our final bit of health that we got there. And as far as gear options go, in the early game, you're kind of screwed. You don't have many great options. Late game, if we go evil, which we should with this build, we got the Ballast Armor, which we can also grab at the same time, the Crater Flesh Gloves. These are great because this is going to double up our piercing damage, which is nuts, and also make sure that we go first, and gives us actually a solid armor class 19 there. Crater Flesh Gloves gives us a 1d6, which is actually a lie. It's 2d6 because it's a crit, and we're re-rolling all those damage die and adding a ton of extra damage riders. These are really good and worth going evil for this particular build. However, in the early game, there is a lot of good options. I also mentioned taking the feat for medium armor, and you could use the Adamantine Scale Mail. There's not really that many great early game options. You could use like someone Mage Armor and the Protecty Sparks Wall. And the Cat's Grace is also nice in the early game for the dexterity boost. Now, we also have the Deathstalker Mantle. It makes a lot of sense on this build, as you probably should play as the Dirge, and turning invisible after kill is perfect. I also have the Mask of Soul Perception for a bonus to our attack rolls. Early game, the Haze Helmet can be pretty nice. There's nothing really like super impactful here. I do want to mention if you take medium armor, that Steel Watcher helmet lets us see in darkness, which makes a rogue a true rogue. I also want to mention that the Disintegrating Nightwalkers are great from the early game, so you can't get ensnared. And then there's a direct upgrade with the Helldust Boots in the end game. And also, if you got the Illithid ability Drain, the Boots of Stormy Clamor work great too. Now, I got the Orin's Dagger here, but since we got double damage on piercing, we don't really care about having this in the main hand. And we actually can go with the Shadow Blade Ring if we go with the good alignment at the start of the game and get ourselves a Shadow Blade Ring, which is insane because that's 2d8 of psychic damage. And then we can also deal psychic damage in an area of effect with our Dread Allegiance. And we get to double that with the Resonance Stone and double our piercing damage, which we have our Blade of the First Blood or Orin's Dagger Bloodthirst in the offhand, which gives us an increased critical hit chance, fueling this. And we also get a reaction attack, which is something we can choose to use or not, and a bonus 1 to armor class in the offhand. So this gets our armor class up to 21, which is actually pretty solid, considering we're doing a respectable amount of damage, and that scales up our sneak attack damage. So you see there, it does 84 damage. That's a lie, because it's doubled from the Resonance Stone to anything that's in our area. So yeah, that can do upwards of 168 damage. Pretty crazy stuff. Now in combat, since we have a very powerful sneak attack, we want to have our team kind of playing around that, especially since we also have the Murderous Cut ability, which lets us do that attack when our teammates take someone below half health. We're going to do some insane damage here. I don't need to roll the crit off. 126 with a non-critical hit. That is insane. Try to get the Murderous Cut or the Bloodthirst attack to happen there. It didn't end up happening. Also, since we're attacking from invisible, this would set us up with another sneak attack, so you can actually chain this if you got things like haste. I'm just going to go with an arrow of many targets here because I need to take that target out, and I want to spread a bit of extra damage around. Arrow of many targets will give us extra damage if we're not able to get our sneak attacks off, so buy all of them that you can. Now, we got a lot of things we can use our reaction for. I would not recommend using Uncanny Dodge. Sometimes it's just better to take the damage, especially since we got so much hit points that we can. We have 263 there with the boost from the Tough feat. I'm in a tough spot right here because I'm ensnared, so yeah, that causes issues, so I had to use that to get around. This means that I don't have my sneak attack advantage right now because Previously I was invisible, so I had that. It's unfortunate. So we're just kind of in a tough spot. We got to use our arrow mini targets there, which if you get a crit off one of those, it's going to crit everybody. So that's really our only play right now because I can't do the sneak attack, unfortunately. I'm also ensnared, so yeah, and we're also not getting that damage off and wasn't able to get the bonus actions here from our teammates attacking. So this target has less than half health. I'm going to attack it here, and unfortunately didn't trigger that ability there to give us that free or that extra attack there. Oh no, they shoved Shadowheart off the edge and my character just farted. No! Alright, that sucks. I still can't do a sneak attack. Oh, we can get a sneak attack, but it's going to proc a weird opportunity attack where he attacks through Minsk, and I do another fart there. That happened, and we're also going to proc this opportunity attack. I just want that sneak attack off. I just want that sneak attack. Never mind, they have 6 health. Don't even need it. We'll do our offhand attack, though, because it's not a bad bonus action use there, as we don't have any really other one that we need it for. Now I'm invisible, so I can get my sneak attack off on anyone. Mind you, our sneak attack is pretty much a one-shot, so that's why the Deathstalker Mantle is so nice. 116 damage without a critical hit. That is absurd. Even our main attacks do insane amounts of damage. I'll roll the free crit here. Yeah, 52 damage on a crit, and additional 5 damage. Now, one fun thing about the True Strike that you do get from Orin's Dagger is that it's a bonus action, which we're ensnared again, so we can't get into our sneak attack, but we can, I guess we still can't do our sneak attack. But an arrow of humanoid slang will do the trick as well, especially since we're going to land that attack there. So yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't sure why the Aura of Malevolence was not working properly there. Yeah, that is the... It was actually the Bloodthirst that wasn't end up happening there. But that is the Scion of the Dead 3, or the Scion of the 3 subclass mod by Ahdarugo. Definitely recommend going and checking it out in their other works. I also covered the Spellfire Sorcerer, which is one of my new favorite subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3. So go check that out as well, and I hope you guys all have a great day.